What would you do if you had exactly 6 hours before losing everything your family built over 3 generations? Derek Martinez was staring at foreclosure papers when a complete stranger walked into his failing auto shop with an impossible offer that would either save his family legacy or destroy what little hope he had left. What happened next defies every rule of conventional finance and proves that even when banks, lawyers, accountants, and the entire financial system says absolutely no, there's still one revolutionary strategy that can turn complete financial devastation into incredible victory. Stay right here because this unbelievable rescue story will restore your faith in second chances and show you that no crisis is too deep for the right strategic intervention. This will change everything you believe about impossible situations. Derek Martinez had built his entire life around the family auto repair business that his grandfather started with nothing but determination in 1952. 3 generations of blood, sweat, sacrifice, and impossible dreams lived within those concrete garage walls in Toledo, Ohio. But on this freezing Tuesday morning in February, Derek was holding papers that would end it all forever. Final foreclosure notice. 6 hours until the sheriff arrived to lock the doors and destroy 70 years of family legacy. His 8-year-old daughter Emma didn't understand why Daddy couldn't sleep anymore, why Mommy cried in the bathroom at night, or why their house felt so heavy with invisible fear that made everyone whisper instead of laugh. All she knew was that her piggy bank money couldn't fix whatever was breaking her family apart piece by piece. Derek's wife Maria had already taken double shifts at the hospital, working herself to exhaustion, but medical bills from his father's aggressive cancer treatment had drained every savings account, retirement fund, and emergency reserve they had spent decades building. The business that once employed 12 proud mechanics now sat empty except for Derek, surrounded by tools his grandfather's weathered hands had worn smooth through decades of honest work. Bank loans that seemed manageable during good times, supplier debts that accumulated during his father's illness, and tax liens that multiplied like cancer cells had created a perfect storm of financial destruction that felt deliberately designed to crush working families. Every attorney gave the same hopeless verdict. Every financial advisor shook their head in professional defeat. Every family member had already given everything they possibly could. At exactly 2 p.m., precisely 6 hours before losing everything his family had ever worked for, a man in a simple blue jacket walked through the garage door like he belonged there. Derek almost told him they were permanently closed, but something about this complete stranger's calm confidence and knowing eyes made him pause instead of turning away another potential customer he couldn't help. The man introduced himself as David Clark, real estate strategist, and said 5 words that stopped Derek's racing heart completely. "I think I can help." Those words had become Derek's greatest enemy because hope hurt worse than acceptance when every solution led to deeper disappointment and more crushing debt. But David wasn't offering emergency loans, charitable donations, or miracle fixes that required believing in impossible things. Instead, he was asking specific questions about the property structure, the business ownership documents, and assets Derek didn't even know existed or mattered in his desperate situation. Desperate. Stay right here because what David does next will restore your hope completely. Derek's calloused hands trembled uncontrollably as he spread the foreclosure documents across his oil-stained workbench like evidence of his complete failure as a husband, father, and guardian of family legacy. $87,000 in back payments, accumulated penalties, legal fees, and administrative costs that had multiplied like aggressive tumors. The number might as well have been $87 million given his current financial reality. His business checking account held exactly $43.16. His personal account was overdrawn. His credit cards were maxed beyond their limits. His retirement fund had been liquidated months ago to pay for experimental cancer treatments that only prolonged his father's suffering. The auto shop sat on prime commercial real estate in a developing area, but Derek owned the business equipment and customer relationships, not the land beneath his feet. His lease agreement had become worthless legal paper when the original property owner died unexpectedly and the estate demanded impossible new terms that nobody could meet. The new owners were real estate developers who wanted to demolish everything and build luxury condominiums for young professionals who worked downtown. They had offered Derek $20,000 to walk away quietly and surrender his lease, which was less than he owed on equipment loans alone, not counting personal guarantees that would follow him forever. Maria worked punishing 16-hour shifts as a surgical nurse at Toledo Hospital, but even premium medical insurance didn't cover experimental treatments, specialized medications, and out-of-network specialists that offered the only hope for Derek's father's rare cancer. The proud old man had spent his final months lying awake at night, worried sick about the crushing financial burden his illness was creating for the family he had worked his entire life to protect. Derek had promised his dying father, while holding the man's weak hand in the hospital room, that the family business would survive and prosper no matter what happened. That promise was about to become another broken dream, added to an already crushing load of failure that made Derek feel like a fraud every time someone called him a good man or hard worker. Hard work meant nothing when medical emergencies, predatory lending, and economic forces beyond individual control could destroy 3 generations of honest effort in less than 18 months of impossible circumstances. The worst part wasn't losing the business that defined his identity and purpose. The worst part wasn't facing bankruptcy, damaged credit, and financial shame that would follow his family for years. The absolute worst part was going home tonight and looking his 8-year-old daughter Emma in the eyes while explaining why. Daddy couldn't keep his family safe from forces that good people shouldn't have to fight alone. How do you tell an innocent child that sometimes decent, hard-working people lose everything despite doing everything right? How do you teach your daughter that life is fair and just when your own life proves the opposite every single day through no fault of your own? Derek had already made the desperate phone call to his brother in Phoenix about construction work that paid decent wages but required leaving everything familiar behind. Maria's sister in Denver had offered their couch until Derek and Maria could find jobs and save enough money for an apartment deposit. Starting over completely at 34 years old with no money, destroyed credit, and no realistic hope felt like surrendering to a rigged system designed to crush working families while rewarding people who already had everything they needed. Every successful entrepreneur on social media made building wealth look effortless and inevitable, but Derek was drowning in real life while others celebrated paper profits and investment strategies that required capital he would never possess. The gap between online success stories and actual desperation felt designed to mock people who were barely surviving despite working harder than anyone should have to work. David Clark listened to Derek's situation without interrupting, offering sympathy or providing generic advice about positive thinking and persistence. Instead, he walked slowly around the entire property, taking detailed notes, measuring spaces with a professional tape measure, and making quiet phone calls to people who apparently answered their phones immediately and treated David's requests as urgent priorities. His questions were highly specific and strangely focused. Did Derek own any equipment outright without liens? Were there any profit-sharing agreements with suppliers or customers? Had anyone ever mentioned mineral rights, air rights, or easement agreements on this property? Did the original lease contain any unusual clauses or contingencies? Derek answered every question honestly, even though nothing made logical sense. David wasn't asking about traditional bank financing, government assistance programs, or conventional business solutions that Derek had already explored and exhausted. Instead, he was examining the situation from angles Derek couldn't understand, talking about asset repositioning, equity extraction, strategic partnerships, and syndication structures that sounded too sophisticated and complex for someone about to lose everything through foreclosure. The clock above the garage door showed exactly 4 p.m. in red digital numbers that felt like a countdown to execution. 2 hours left before everything ended forever. Derek's phone buzzed constantly with text messages from family members sending love, prayers, and emotional support. But prayers don't pay foreclosure notices, and love doesn't negotiate with sheriffs who carry out legal orders regardless of human circumstances. His stomach churned with the metallic taste of pure panic, mixed with exhaustion, from months of fighting an unwinnable battle against overwhelming financial forces. David finished his phone calls and turned to Derek with a facial expression that didn't match the hopeless situation surrounding them. This complete stranger looked confident, almost excited, like he had discovered something valuable and profitable that Derek couldn't see or understand from his position of complete desperation. When someone is drowning in deep water, the last thing they can afford to trust is a life preserver that appears too good to be true. Terrified, hit that subscribe button immediately, because David's crisis intervention strategy will leave you absolutely stunned. David spread his own thick stack of papers across the workbench directly next to Derek's foreclosure notice, creating a stark contrast between legal destruction and strategic opportunity. Property records, detailed zoning maps, commercial real estate analysis, and what appeared to be a complex organizational flowchart showing business connections and financial relationships that Derek couldn't follow or understand. Then David said something that made absolutely no logical sense given the desperate circumstances. "Derek, you're not losing a failing business today. You're sitting on top of the foundation of a real estate empire that could generate passive income for your family for generations." According to David's extensive research, Derek's existing lease agreement contained a buried legal clause that nobody had bothered to read carefully or understand fully. If the property changed hands through foreclosure, estate sale, or any involuntary transfer, existing business tenants had first right of refusal on purchasing the entire property at assessed value, not current market value. The difference between these two valuations was substantial and created immediate opportunity. Market value reflected the future development potential that made this property attractive to condominium builders and commercial developers. Assessed value reflected current use as an automotive repair facility, which was significantly lower and potentially achievable. But Derek still had no money, no credit, and no realistic way to purchase anything at any price. David's calm response revealed the sophisticated strategy that would either save everything Derek loved, or prove that some solutions really are too good to be true when desperate people need them most. "We're not buying this property with your personal cash or credit, Derek. We're creating a commercial real estate syndication that uses your established business as the anchor tenant while positioning you as the managing partner of a limited liability investment group that my network will fund completely." The concept sounded impossibly complex and sophisticated, but David methodically broke it down into simple steps that revealed the elegant genius of strategic real estate thinking applied to crisis situations. First, Derek would exercise his legal right of first refusal, establishing his binding claim to purchase the property at assessed value before any other buyers could interfere. Second, David would structure a limited liability company with Derek as managing partner and David's private investor network as silent partners, who would fund the entire acquisition in exchange for equity positions and guaranteed passive income from multiple commercial tenant spaces. The property was large enough to be professionally subdivided into 6 separate commercial units without major construction or zoning changes. Derek's auto shop would occupy 2 units at below market rent, guaranteeing profitability and sustainability for his core business operations. The remaining 4 units would generate consistent rental income that would cover mortgage payments, property taxes, insurance, maintenance, and management expenses, while providing positive cash flow that would be distributed to all partners, according to their equity percentages. Derek would earn management fees plus profit-sharing distributions without risking any personal assets or damaging his credit further. David's investor network specialized in exactly these types of distressed commercial real estate opportunities. They were accredited investors with substantial capital looking for recession-proof investment opportunities, with experienced local operators who understood regional markets and could manage properties effectively. Derek's 20 years of business, experience, deep community connections, and proven work ethic made him valuable as a managing partner, not desperate as a charity case. His current financial crisis was their investment opportunity, but structured fairly so everyone profited together through strategic collaboration. The timeline was aggressive, but completely achievable with proper coordination. David's real estate attorney was already drafting the necessary partnership documents, operating agreements, and purchase contracts. His commercial financing contact had pre-approved the acquisition loan based on projected rental income from comparable properties in similar markets. His licensed general contractor was standing by to make immediate property improvements that would attract quality tenants and increase overall property value. Everything hinged on Derek signing partnership agreements and exercising his purchase option before the foreclosure deadline expired forever. Derek's biggest objection was understandable and logical. Why would successful, wealthy investors trust someone who couldn't pay his own bills or keep his family business operating profitably? David's patient answer revealed the crucial difference between temporary cash flow problems caused by medical emergencies and fundamental business failure caused by incompetence or poor decision-making. Derek's business was profitable and sustainable when his father wasn't dying of expensive cancer treatments. Medical emergencies can destroy family finances temporarily, but they don't destroy valuable business skills, established customer relationships, work ethic, or market knowledge that took decades to develop and couldn't be easily replaced. Robert Kiyosaki teaches that poor people work for money, while rich people make money, work for them through strategic investments and passive income streams. Derek had been working for money, trading his personal time and physical effort for dollars in a traditional business model that couldn't scale beyond his individual capacity. David's syndication strategy would transform Derek into a real estate entrepreneur who earned money from other people's rent payments while building long-term wealth through property appreciation and operational cash flow. The investors would provide required capital, legal expertise, and business connections. Derek would provide irreplaceable local knowledge, operational management, and day-to-day oversight. The property would provide passive income streams and significant tax advantages for everyone involved according to their partnership percentage. Instead of losing everything through foreclosure, Derek would become the local managing partner in a commercial real estate investment that created multiple income streams while preserving his family's generational connection to the business. His grandfather started with nothing but determination. Maria arrived at exactly 5 p.m., expecting to comfort her husband through the worst day of their marriage and maybe the worst day of their entire lives together. Instead, she found Derek reviewing complex partnership documents with a professional real estate strategist who was calmly explaining how their family's devastating financial crisis had actually created an unexpected opportunity for long-term financial independence that neither of them could have achieved alone through traditional employment or conventional business ownership. The transformation from complete desperation to cautious, realistic optimism happened so quickly that Maria needed David to explain the entire strategy twice before she could understand how Derek's failure had become the foundation for their family's financial future. The structure was elegant, fair, and mutually beneficial for everyone involved. Derek would keep complete operational control of his established business while gaining experienced partners who wanted him to succeed financially because his success directly guaranteed their investment returns. The property would be professionally managed, properly maintained, and strategically improved over time to maximize value for all partners. Derek would earn enough money from management fees and profit-sharing distributions to rebuild his family's financial security while learning advanced real estate investment principles from experienced partners who had built substantial wealth through similar strategic collaborations. The most shocking revelation was that Derek's crisis had attracted exactly the help he needed, because desperate situations create perfect conditions for innovative solutions that benefit everyone involved. His foreclosure deadline had forced quick decisions that eliminated lengthy negotiations and complicated due diligence processes that usually slow down commercial real estate transactions. Mind absolutely blown. Destroy that like button and stay locked in, because the incredible transformation is about to unfold right before your eyes. At exactly 5:30 p.m., 30 minutes before the final foreclosure deadline that would have ended everything forever, Derek signed partnership documents that instantly transformed him from a failing business owner drowning in debt into the managing partner of Toledo Commercial Properties LLC. David's investor network had already wired substantial funds to a secure escrow account managed by a commercial real estate attorney. The legal team had filed Derek's first right of refusal claim with all necessary supporting documentation. The foreclosure was stopped permanently, not by charity, luck, or last-minute miracles, but by strategic real estate intervention that created genuine value and profitable opportunities for everyone involved in the partnership. Emma watched her parents cry tears of relief, gratitude, and overwhelming joy for the first time in months of constant worry and fear. She didn't understand limited liability companies, equity partnerships, or commercial real estate syndication, but she understood with perfect clarity that Daddy wasn't sad anymore, and Mommy stopped having those worried conversations in whispers after bedtime. The heavy, oppressive feeling that had filled their house for months lifted completely like thick fog, burning off in bright morning sunlight. Within exactly 2 weeks, David's licensed general contractor had completely transformed the entire property complex. Professional exterior painting, updated commercial signage, comprehensive landscaping, and modern lighting made the entire complex significantly more attractive to potential business tenants who were actively looking for affordable commercial space. Derek's auto shop received new equipment financing through the LLC's established business credit, allowing him to expand service offerings and hire back 2 experienced former employees who had been reluctantly laid off during the financial crisis. The first additional tenant was an established accounting firm that had been searching for affordable office space near the interstate for several months. The second tenant was a specialized food truck commissary operation that needed commercial kitchen facilities and storage space. The third tenant was a professional dog grooming business owned by an experienced woman who had been looking for the perfect location for over 2 years. By the end of month 3, all 6 commercial units were fully occupied with established businesses, and there was already a waiting list for future availability when current leases expired. Derek's monthly personal income more than doubled immediately. Management fees plus profit-sharing distributions plus his own expanded business revenue created financial stability and security his family had never experienced during their entire marriage. More importantly, for long-term wealth building, Derek was learning advanced real estate investment principles directly from experienced partners who had built substantial passive income through similar strategic property acquisitions. David introduced Derek to other successful local investors, commercial real estate courses, and professional networking groups that treated him as a respected peer and valuable colleague, not a charity case or someone who needed help. The transformation from desperate failure to confident business partner happened gradually but consistently, as Derek's new identity as a real estate entrepreneur replaced his old identity as someone who barely survived paycheck to paycheck. Maria was able to reduce her exhausting hospital schedule from 16-hour shifts back to normal full-time hours, instead of the punishing overtime that had been barely keeping their family financially afloat. Emma started taking piano lessons and joined a youth soccer league. Derek began sleeping through the night without nightmares about foreclosure notices, sheriff's deputies, or explaining to his daughter why good people sometimes lose everything, despite working harder than anyone should have to work. The auto shop that almost died in foreclosure became the profitable anchor tenant of a thriving commercial property complex that generated consistent passive income for multiple families, while serving the local community with quality businesses that created jobs and economic value. Derek's grandfather would have been incredibly proud to see how the family business had not only survived devastating circumstances, but had become the foundation of a real estate investment that honored everything the old man had taught about: hard work, fair dealing, and taking care of the community that supports your success. The most shocking discovery came exactly 6 months later, when a professional property appraisal revealed that strategic improvements, full occupancy, and expert management had increased the complex's total value by more than 40%. Derek's equity position in the partnership had grown by over $25,000 without him investing any additional money or taking any personal financial risk. His family's devastating crisis had literally become the foundation of generational wealth building that would benefit Emma and her future children. Derek's transformation was complete and permanent. The family business not only survived, but became the centerpiece of a commercial real estate investment that created multiple income streams while preserving and honoring his family's generational connection to honest work and community service. Emma would grow up knowing that her father was a successful real estate entrepreneur who managed profitable properties, not just someone who fixed cars for other people in exchange for hourly wages. The partnership structure proved so successful and profitable that David and Derek began actively looking for additional commercial properties where they could replicate the exact same model with other families facing similar crisis situations. Derek's deep local knowledge and established community relationships, combined with David's investor network and strategic expertise, created a formidable team that could quickly identify opportunities and execute efficiently when motivated sellers needed fast solutions to urgent problems. But the most powerful, life-defining lesson that will determine whether you survive your own crisis is what I'm about to reveal right now. The lesson Derek learned isn't about real estate transactions, business partnerships, or financial strategies. It's about maintaining hope and open-mindedness during the darkest moments of crisis, when conventional wisdom offers no solutions. When you're drowning in overwhelming financial desperation, you can only see problems, obstacles, and reasons why nothing will work. But strategic real estate investors see profitable opportunities everywhere because they understand that other people's urgent situations create perfect conditions for mutually beneficial solutions that help everyone involved. Derek's crisis attracted exactly the help he needed because he remained willing to consider alternatives to conventional thinking, despite being hurt by false hope before. Most families facing foreclosure only explore traditional solutions like emergency loans, debt consolidation, refinancing, or liquidating assets. Strategic real estate intervention uses creativity, partnership structures, and win-win arrangements that create new value instead of just moving existing money from one place to another. The next rescue story will prove that even the most hopeless financial situations contain hidden opportunities for families willing to think differently about their assets, their skills, and their potential for strategic partnerships with experienced investors. Every single day, families just like Derek's are losing hope and giving up because they don't know that strategic real estate solutions exist for their specific situations. Subscribe to this channel right now so you never miss incredible rescue stories that prove no financial crisis is too deep for the right intervention strategy when you combine desperate motivation with strategic thinking. Hit that notification bell immediately, because these life-changing strategies can literally mean the difference between losing everything and building generational wealth that benefits your children and grandchildren. Smash that like button if Derek's transformation restored your belief that second chances are possible when you combine hard work with innovative thinking. Share this video with anyone facing foreclosure, business failure, or financial crisis, because they desperately need to know that creative solutions exist beyond traditional advice that doesn't work in emergency situations. Your comments about your own financial challenges help other viewers realize they're not alone in their struggles against overwhelming circumstances. This channel exists specifically to prove that strategic real estate intervention can rescue families from situations that seem hopeless to everyone else, including banks, attorneys, and financial advisors who only know conventional approaches. Every subscription, like, and share helps these rescue stories reach more people who desperately need hope and practical solutions during the worst moments of their lives. Remember, your real estate empire starts with your next decision. Make it count.